holy, infant lowly, for his bed a cattle stall. Oxen lowing, little knowing, Christ the child is Lord of all. Swiftly winging, angels singing, bells are ringing, tidings bringing. Christ the child is Lord of all. Christ the child is Lord of all. Flocks were sleeping, shepherds keeping vigil till the morning new. Saw the glory, heard the story, tidings of a gospel true. Thus rejoicing, free from sorrow, praises voicing, greet the morrow. Christ the child was born for you. Christ the child was born for you.
This first Christmas poem reminds us that Christmas is a symbol of Jesus' never-ending love for us, and that we will find him wherever we seek him. If you look for me at Christmas, by an unknown author. If you look for me at Christmas, you won't need a special star. I'm no longer just in Bethlehem. I'm right there where you are. You may not be aware of me amid the celebrations. You'll have to look beyond the stores and all the decorations. But if you take a moment from your list of things to do and listen to your heart, you'll find I'm waiting there for you. You're the one I want to be with. You're the reason that I came, and you'll find me in the stillness as I'm whispering your name. Love, Jesus. This next poem is one of my favorites. The sentiment is that Jesus is the real light of Christmas and the light of the whole world. The Light of Christmas by Margaret Cagle. We bring in the Christmas season with beautiful Christmas lights. They shine forth across our cities throughout the season's nights. Many look forward to celebrating this wonderful time of year by decorating their homes with lights to spread some Christmas cheer. We string lights on Christmas trees, on wreaths hanging here and there. Lights adorn many, many decorations. We see pretty lights everywhere. Jesus is the real light of Christmas. He's the light of the whole world today. He died on the cross for our sins. He's the truth, the light, the way. May we all find a way to be the light of Jesus this day and every day. From all of us here at Trinity, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year.
Hi, my name is Duane Keeler, and I'm going to read a story for you. The name of the book is Room for a Little One. It's written by Martin Waddell. It was a cold winter's night. Kind Ox lay in his stable, close to the side of the inn. Can you see it here? There's the ox right there. Old Dog came by. He stopped and looked into the stable. "I need somewhere to rest," said Old Dog. "Come inside," Kind Ox said. "There's always room for a little one here." See the dog looking inside? And Kind Ox. And Kind Kitty. Old Dog came in and lay down in the straw. He nestled close to Kind Ox, sharing the warmth of the stable. See how they're all snuggled together? Isn't that nice? Somebody else is snuggly tonight. Stray Cat peered in. She saw Old Dog and she stopped. Stray Cat arched her back and her fur bristled. "I'll not chase you," said Old Dog. "Come inside," said Kind Ox. "There's always room for a little one." You see the kitty on the right, on this side, and the dog over here. Stray Cat came into the stable. She curled up in the straw, close to the friend she had found, purring and twitching her tail. Curled up right next to the dog. That's so nice. Small Mouse stopped at the door of the stable. She saw Stray Cat and she quivered with fear. "You are safe here. I won't harm you," said Stray Cat. "Come inside," Kind Ox said. "There's always room for a little one here." And you see the kitty over here and the mouse. Small Mouse scurried in. She nestled down warm in the straw, in the peace of the stable. And they're all gathered together, nice and warm in friendship. Then Tired Donkey came. Joseph led him along. Mary rode on Tired Donkey's back. Joseph was cold and Mary was weary, but there was no room at the inn. There's Mary and Joseph, the donkey over here. "Where will my baby be born?" asked Mary. "Come inside," Kind Ox called to the Tired Donkey. "There's always room for a little one here." And you see, Donkey's going to go inside. Tired Donkey brought Mary into the stable. Joseph made her a warm bed in the straw to save her from the cold of the night. You see Joseph and Mary down below over here, nice and warm in the stable. And so Jesus was born with the animals around him. Kind Ox, Old Dog, Stray Cat, Small Mouse, and Tired Donkey all welcomed him to the warmth of their stable. And you see all of God's creatures here, including the humans, Joseph and Mary and the baby Jesus. And this is Ava, if you're wondering. That cold winter's night, beneath the star's light, a little one came for the world. And that's the end of the book. Thank you very much.
저들밖에 한밤 중에 양들매 자던 목자들 천사
Colors of Christmas by Matthew Paul Turner. Christmas is red. It's a shiny new sled. It's candy canes and toy store lanes. It's sprinkles on sweet bread. It's packages with bows and Rudolph's bright red nose. It's pictures drawn and dressed up lawns. It's warm mittens when it snows. It's the drummer boy's drum, his pa-rum-pa-pum-pum. It's Santa Claus and cranberry sauce. It's apples, pears, and plums. It's presents that we send to family and to friends. It's jolly cards and merry hearts. Yes, Christmas is red. Christmas is green. It's an evergreen scene. It's holly sprigs and mistletoe twigs. It's emerald lights agleam. It's garland on rails and pine needle trails. It's winter boots and funny elf suits. It's that old Mr. Grinch tale. It's Granny Smith pies and plaid bow ties. It's fresh potpourri that smells Christmassy. It's stockings hung high. It's tinsel on trees and grass iced by freeze. It's Christmas tree balls and artwork on walls. Yes, Christmas is green. Christmas is gold. It's bright ribbon unrolled. It's jingling bells and warm, yummy smells. It's heirlooms you are not allowed to hold. It's dancers all tapping among holiday trappings. It's nutcracker crowns and Christmas Eve gowns. It's glittery gift wrapping. It's a big turkey roast and walnuts you toast. It's crackling fires and glorious choirs. It's an ornament you love most. It's kids shouting, "Behold!" wearing halos and robes. It's treetop stars and old church bazaars. Yes, Christmas is gold. Christmas is blue. It's a winter sky's hue. It's flannel sheets and shaped cookie treats. It's a lake frozen through. It's big puffy coats and huge parade floats. It's juniper trees and blue spruce wreaths. It's writing Santa notes. It's a sweater mama knit, stretched yet still fits. It's turquoise lights in the darkest of nights. It's a snowman's outfit. It's memories old and new, and loved ones gone too soon. It's an Elvis song and nights growing long. Yes, Christmas is blue. Christmas is white. It's warm candlelight. It's mountain tops and small fancy shops. It's turtle doves in flight. It's December snowstorms and blankets so warm. It's angel wings and the song that we sing about our dream for Christmas morn. It's sleigh rides through snow and tea lights that glow. It's North Pole tales and frosty exhales. It's cocoa with marshmallows. It's a star shining bright on the holiest of nights. It's powdered cakes and paper snowflakes. Yes, Christmas is white. Christmas is brown. It's pine cones scattered round. It's caramel corn and copper French horns. It's winter's frozen ground. It's firewood piled high and reindeer that fly. It's cinnamon sweets and gingerbread treats. It's homemade pecan pie. It's a cradle soft with hay and a donkey's gentle bray. It's God within a baby's skin on that very first Christmas day. It's shepherds kneeling down and wise ones gathered round. It's Mary's sigh and Jesus' cry. Yes, Christmas is brown. Christmas is you. It's your own unique hue. It's your wondrous gleam and your bedtime dreams. You color each Christmas anew. It's your tinsel and flare and the gifts that you share. It's your jingling smile and your fa-la-la style. It's how you love and how you care. It's the songs that you sing and the light that you bring. It's your heartfelt compassion and your hope put in action. It's your thrill for the little things. It's your love for what's true. It's the good that you do. You're a part of the story, the joy and the glory. Yes, Christmas is you. The end.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Round yon so tender and mild. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face. With the dawn of redeeming grace, Jesus Lord at your birth, Jesus Lord at your birth.
Merry Christmas, everyone. It has been such a blessing to be able to worship and get to know and be in community with all of you at the Tri-County Lutheran Parish. I want to thank you for the wonderful time that I've had thus far as your vicar, and I wish all of us a happy and safe and blessed new year. On this day where we celebrate the Christ child's birth, God dwelling with us as Emmanuel, I will sing one of my favorite Christmas hymns, one which I think has fantastic theology behind it. Hark the Herald Angels Sing. I love this song because I think it really gets to the point, to one of the many points of Christmas, that God and humanity have been reconciled, and that through Jesus, the glory of the Godhead, of the Trinity is made manifest. And so let us sing with the angels and with the church on earth this day. Let us sing praises to the Christ child who has been born. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Christ by highest heaven adored, Christ the everlasting Lord. Late in time, behold him come, offspring of a virgin's womb. Veiled in flesh the Godhead see, hail the incarnate deity. Pleased with us in flesh to dwell, Jesus our Emmanuel. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hail the heaven-born Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Mild he lays his glory lie, born that we no more may die, born to raise us from newborn King. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone. I wanted to share with you a story that I absolutely love. Ever since Ellie was little, I've read it to her. I remember reading it when I was in elementary school, and it's called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever by Barbara Robinson. Obviously, I can't read the whole thing, so I'm going to share with you some snippets from the story to hopefully tie it all together, but I will read the entirety of the last chapter because, well, you'll see when I get there. But it's a story about how, as much as we try to have the perfect event for Christmas or for anything in our lives, sometimes things just happen and the story is told in a different but more meaningful way. So if you haven't read the book, I highly recommend it. If not, I would like to share with you the story of the best Christmas pageant ever and the wacky hijinks of the Herdman family. The Herdmans were absolutely the worst kids in the history of the world. They lied and stole and smoked cigars, even the girls, and talked dirty and hit little kids and cussed their teachers and took the name of the Lord in vain and set fire to Fred Shoemaker's old, broken-down tool house. They were just so all-around awful, you could hardly believe they were real. Ralph, Imogene, Leroy, Claude, Ollie, and Gladys. 6 skinny, stringy-haired kids, all alike, except for being different sizes and having different black and blue places where they had clonked each other. My mother's friend, Miss Phillips, was a social service worker, and she tried to get some welfare money for the Herdmans, so Mrs. Herdman could just work 1 shift instead of 2 at the boot factory, and maybe spend some more time with her children. But Mrs. Herdman wouldn't do it. She liked the work, she said. "It's not the work," Miss Phillips told my mother, "and it's not the money. It's just that she'd rather be at the shoe factory than shut up at home with that crowd of kids." She sighed. I can't say I blame her. So the Herdmans pretty much looked after themselves. Ralph looked after Imogene, and Imogene looked after Leroy, and Leroy looked after Claude, and so on down the line. The Herdmans were like most big families. The big ones taught the little ones everything they knew. And the proof was that the meanest herdman of all was Gladys, the youngest. We figured they were headed straight for hell by way of the state penitentiary until they got themselves mixed up with the church and my mother and our Christmas pageant. Mother didn't expect to have anything to do with the Christmas pageant except to make me and my little brother Charlie be in it. We didn't want to. And to make my father go and see it. He didn't want to. But then she got stuck with the whole thing when Mrs. Armstrong fell and broke her leg. And then the Herdmans found out about all the snacks at church and showed up hungry just in time to be cast in the Christmas pageant, taking all the main roles, much to the irritation of my friend, Alice Wendelkin. Everybody came that year to the Christmas pageant just to see what the Herdmans would do. On the night of the pageant, we didn't have any supper because Mother forgot to fix it. My father said that was all right. Between Mrs. Armstrong's telephone calls and the pageant rehearsals, he just didn't expect supper anymore. When it's all over, he said, we'll go someplace and have hamburgers. But Mother said when it was all over, she might want to go someplace and hide. We've never once gone through the whole thing, she said. I don't know what's going to happen. It may be the first Christmas pageant in history where Joseph and the wise men get in a fight and Mary runs away with the baby. She might be right, I thought, and I wondered what all of us in the angel choir ought to do in case that happened. It would be dumb for us just to stand there singing about the Holy Infant if Mary had run off with him. But nothing seemed very different at first. There was the usual big mess all over the place, baby angels getting poked in the eye by other baby angels' wings, and grumpy shepherds stumbling over their bathrobes. The spotlight swooped back and forth and up and down till it made you sick to your stomach to look at it. And as usual, whoever was playing the piano pitched Away in a Manger so high we could hardly hear it, let alone sing it. My father says Away in a Manger always starts out sounding like a closet full of mice. But everything settled down, and at 7:30 the pageant began. While we sang Away in a Manger, the ushers lit candles all around the church, and the spotlight came on to be the star. So you really had to know the words to Away in a Manger, because you couldn't see a single thing. After that, we sang 2 verses of O Little Town of Bethlehem, and then we were supposed to hum some more O Little Town of Bethlehem while Mary and Joseph came in from a side door. Only they didn't come right away, so we hummed and hummed and hummed, which is boring and also very hard, and before long doesn't sound like a song at all, more like an old refrigerator. I knew something like this would happen, Alice Wendelkin whispered to me. They didn't come at all. We won't have any Mary and Joseph, and now what are we supposed to do? I guess we would have gone on humming till we all turned blue, but we didn't have to. Ralph and Imogene were there all right, only for once they didn't come through the door pushing each other out of the way. They just stood there for a minute, as if they weren't sure they were in the right place. Because of the candles, I guess, and the church being full of people. And they looked like the people you see on the 6 o'clock news, refugees sent to wait in some strange, ugly place with all their boxes and sacks around them. It suddenly occurred to me that this was just the way it must have been for the real Holy Family. stuck away in a barn by people who didn't much care what happened to them. They couldn't have been very neat and tidy either, but more like this Mary and Joseph. Imogene's veil was cockeyed as usual, and Ralph's hair stuck out all around his ears. Imogene had the baby doll, but she wasn't carrying it in the way she was supposed to, cradled in her arms. She had it slung up over her shoulder, and before she put it in the manger, she thumped it twice on the back. I heard Alice gasped, and she poked me. "I don't think it's very nice to burp the baby Jesus," she whispered, as if he had colic. Then she poked me again. "Do you suppose he could have had colic?" I said, "I don't know why not." And I didn't. He could have had colic, or been fussy or hungry, like any other baby. After all, that was the whole point of Jesus, that he didn't come down on a cloud like something out of Amazing Comics, but that he was born and lived, a real person. Right away, we had to sing "While Shepherds Watched Their Flocks by Night," and we had to sing very loud, because there were more shepherds than there were anything else, and they made so much noise, banging their crooks around like a lot of hockey sticks. Next came Gladys, from behind the angel choir, pushing people out of the way and stepping on everyone's feet. Since Gladys was the only one in the pageant who had anything to say, she made the most of it. "Hey, unto you a child is born," she hollered, as if it was, for sure, the best news in the world. And all the shepherds trembled, sore afraid, of Gladys mainly, but it looked good anyway. Then came 3 carols about angels. It took that long to get the angels in because they were all primary kids, and they got nervous and cried and forgot where they were supposed to go and bent their wings in the door and things like that. We got a little rest then, while the boys sang "We Three Kings of Orient Are," and everybody in the audience shifted around to watch the wise men march up the aisle. "What have they got?" Alice whispered. I didn't know, but whatever it was heavy. Leroy almost dropped it. He didn't have his frankincense jar either, and Claude and Ollie didn't have anything, although they were supposed to bring the gold and the myrrh. "I knew this would happen," Alice said for the second time. "I bet it's something awful." "Like what?" "Like a burnt offering. You know the Herdmans, they like to burn things." Well, they did burn things, but they hadn't burned this yet. It was a ham, and right away I knew where it came from. My father was on the Church Charitable Works Committee. They gave away food baskets at Christmas, and this was the Herdman's food basket ham. It still had the ribbon around it saying "Merry Christmas." "I'll bet they stole that," Alice said. "They did not. It came from their food basket, and if they want to give away their own ham, I guess they can do it." But even if the Herdmans didn't like ham, that was Alice's next idea, they had never before in their lives given anything away except lumps on the head, so you had to be impressed. Leroy dropped the ham in front of the manger. It looked funny to see a ham there instead of the fancy bath salts jar we always used for myrrh and frankincense. And then they went and sat down in the only space that was left. While we sang "What Child Is This?" the wise men were supposed to confer among themselves and then leave by a different door, so everyone would understand that they were going home another way. But the Herdmans forgot, or didn't want to, or something, because they didn't confer, and they didn't leave either. They just sat there, and there wasn't anything anyone could do about it. "They're ruining the whole thing," Alice whispered. But they weren't at all. As a matter of fact, it made perfect sense for the wise men to sit down and rest, and I said so. They're supposed to have come a long way. You wouldn't expect them to just show up, hand over the ham, and leave. As for ruining the whole thing, it seemed to me the Herdmans had improved the pageant a lot just by doing what came naturally, like burping the baby, for instance, or thinking a ham would make a better present than a lot of perfumed oil. Usually by the time we got to Silent Night, which was always the last carol, I was fed up with the whole thing and couldn't wait for it to be over. But I didn't feel that way this time. I almost wished for the pageant to go on with the herdmans in charge to see what else they would do that was different. Maybe the wise men would tell Mary about their problem with Herod, and she would tell them to go back and lie their heads off. Or Joseph might go with them and get rid of Herod once and for all. Or Joseph and Mary might ask the wise men to take the Christ child with them, figuring that no one would think to look there. I was so busy planning new ways to save the baby Jesus that I missed the beginning of Silent Night. But it was all right, because everyone sang Silent Night, including the audience. We sang all the verses too, and when we got to Son of God loves pure light, I happened to look at Imogene, and I almost dropped my hymn book on a baby angel. Everyone had been waiting all this time for the herdmans to do something absolutely unexpected, and sure enough, that was what happened. Imogene Herdman was crying. In the candlelight, her face was all shiny with tears, and she didn't even bother to wipe them away. She just sat there, awful old Imogene in her crookedy veil, crying and crying and crying. Well, it was the best Christmas pageant we ever had. Everybody said so, but nobody seemed to know why. When it was over, people stood around the lobby of the church talking about what was different this year. There was something special, everyone said, but couldn't put their finger on what. Mrs. Wendelkin said, well, Mary, the mother of Jesus, had a black eye. That was something special, but only what you might expect, she added. She meant that it was the most natural thing in the world for a herdman to have a black eye, but actually nobody hit Imogene, and she didn't hit anyone else. Her eye wasn't really black either, it was all puffy and swollen. She had walked into the corner of the choir robe cabinet in a kind of daze, as if she had just caught on to the idea of God and the wonder of Christmas. And this was the funny thing about it all. For years I'd thought about the wonder of Christmas and the mystery of Jesus' birth, and never really understood it. But now, because of the herdmans, it didn't seem so mysterious after all. When Imogene had asked me what the pageant was about, I told her it was about Jesus, but that was just part of it. It was about a new baby and his mother and father who were in a lot of trouble. No money, no place to go, no doctor, nobody they knew. And then, arriving from the east, like my uncle from New Jersey, some rich friends. But Imogene, I guess, didn't see it that way. Christmas just came over her all at once, like a case of chills and fever. Afterward, there were candy canes and little tiny testaments for everyone, and a poinsettia plant for my mother from the whole Sunday school. We put the costumes away and folded up the collapsible manger, and just before we left, my father snuffed out the last of the tall white candles. I guess that's everything, he said as we stood at the back of the church. All over now. It was quite a pageant. Then he looked at my mother. What's that you've got? It's the ham, she said. They wouldn't take it back. They wouldn't take any candy either, or any of the little Bibles. But Imogene did ask me for a set of the Bible story pictures, and she took out the Mary picture and said it was exactly right, whatever that means. I think it meant that no matter how she herself was, Imogene liked the idea of the Mary in the picture, all pink and white and pure looking, as if she never washed the dishes or cooked supper or did anything at all except have Jesus on Christmas Eve. But as far as I'm concerned, Mary is always going to look a lot like Imogene Herdman, sort of nervous and bewildered, but ready to clobber anyone who laid a hand on her baby. And the wise men are always going to be Leroy and his brothers, bearing ham. When we came out of the church that night, it was cold and clear, with crunchy snow underfoot and bright, bright stars overhead. And I thought about the angel of the Lord, Gladys, with her skinny legs and her dirty sneakers sticking out from under her robe, yelling at all of us, everywhere, "Hey, unto you a child is born."
Merry Christmas, ho, 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 everybody, and God bless everyone.